Tamal Krishna Goswami Namne Namo Vishnu Pada Krishna Prastavutli Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarini Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. You guys can hear me, right? Yes. Okay.
Can hear you.
Yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear you.
Okay. You guys have it on echoing from your side. But anyway,
How is it now, Prabhu?
No, don't worry about it. For your talks are echoes. I'm not sure about mine. I hope it's not echoing on your side.
Yours is good, Prabhu.
Okay, then we can proceed. All right, so Happy New Year, everybody. So then I guess when we talk about New Year, there's generally devotees as well as in general around the country. Everybody is trying to make some resolution, right? New Year's resolutions, and mainly to get rid of some bad habits, and or to create a new habit, you can say. But you find that generally when they make these resolutions, statistically, they say by the first week, everybody gives up the resolutions. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, people are actively trying to take up resolutions because it's for them, it's a new year. It's kind of what the term they use is temporal landmark, so that they can renew their commitments or goals. So the same way as devotees, all of you, many of you have taken vows, committed to following the principles to your spiritual master, connecting to Srila Prabhupada and the movement. So it is therefore important that if you have not faithfully followed, or you had problems following it, it's a good time to renew such vows again, so that you can at least please the Guru Parampara nicely, like that. So therefore, this fresh start is a very good thing for many of you, so that even though you may have some failures in the past, you can say, I will start again. So it is an encouraging aspect, and it's very important for all of us, because we are, as devotees, we need to have this in our foreground, or you can say the principle by which we can actually practice nicely is actually following the instructions of the acharyas, Sri Krishna, and so on. So it's very important that we take it up very seriously. Many of the problems come about in following our dedications as well as the regulative principles is because of old habits. All habits are very hard to give up. So therefore, to be successful, they say that one should have a new goal rather than trying to break the bad habits. Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita, param drisva nirvartate. So unless you have a higher taste, it's very hard to give up the lower taste. If you don't have a higher taste, then the old or bad habits, it's very hard to give up. So how do you develop this higher taste? That is something each and every one of you should carefully analyze your own activities. How much dedication do you have for Krishna or the Guru Parampara? How much are you actually doing? If you simply think, I will become good, I will have to stop this, I will have to stop that. Statistically, it is said that the success rate is only 47% success. That is for karmic goals. 60% of the time they say, or close to 60%, they say you may not make it. So that's a pretty high percentage, So if you say, I'm going to avoid this, I'm going to avoid that, then the chances are you will be unsuccessful. That's what they are saying. So what is successful is you have positive goals, new goals. And the way you can do new goals is you have to make sure that you are Krishna conscious. Again, it's like a situation you're thinking, I am not Krishna conscious now. What is Prabhu saying? Point is, how much are you taking time to associate with devotees? How often do you gather together to discuss Krishna, Krishna Katha, Krishna's devotees? Sadhu Sangha is very important. So what does that mean? That means you must have an intention, positive intention. Psychologists, they refer to as the intention behavior gap. You may be highly motivated to change, but at the same time, you must make sure these goals are attainable. Simply saying, I feel I want to do this change is not going to happen. You must actually act on it. And how to act on it is you have to also develop the skills to manage your behavior also. And the best way to do all this is to have good association. And how do you get good association? Many devotees have different ways of associating. Around US, they have this calling, chanting online, or Zoom conferences, just like we are doing this. This is a form of association. The question you should ask is how often you are associating with devotees who can enhance or elevate your consciousness or inspire you. It is not enough to say, oh, I heard this class, it's so inspiring, and then the next day you're not doing anything about it. That means it's not inspiring. When we say something is inspiring, means we must be able to use it to change. There must be some changes. And then you can say, it inspired me to change. Usually the number one resolution in in the world mostly is losing weight. People, every year, January, they say, I'm going to lose weight. But then by the end of the week, after all the party and so on, they give up that resolution and say, no, maybe I'll do it later. And then people join the gymnasium. They go out on running, exercises, everything. By 2-3 weeks, everything they give up. Because of the intention and the behavior. If your intention is good, but your behavior is no good, then you cannot make progress. Simply saying, I want to become a pure devotee, but then you continue behaving in a bad fashion, you cannot attain the goal. It's not possible. It's impossible. Cultivating bad ideologies, even among devotees, holding grudges, all these things will create barricades, barriers for you to make advancement. So it's very important to simply say, oh, I feel I want to make this. Feeling it's just a sentiment. So therefore, you need to plan properly in your life. One of the key things is how much you can. I always tell many devotees, keep a journal, and in your journal, you journal what you do daily. So those things can help you then navigate your own lifestyles. After a month, you look at the journal and see what you have been doing. How much have you changed? So after a couple of months, you can see the trend. Are you making this intention exhibit properly? Are you making sure that these intentions are put into practice? Is your behavior changing? So it's important to keep a record of what each and every one of you do daily. Once you establish a practice that is, we call that regulated practices. Now, once you have established properly, then you'll find that you won't change it. Again, psychologically speaking, it is said that if you develop a new practice and if you do it for 30 days or more, they say your brain rewires itself. So therefore, you do not fall back into your old habits again. So these are some nice things to consider. So even though things may become difficult, once you practice it for a consistent period, you will not fall back into your bad habits. Just like in the Alcoholic Anonymous, people who go to such an organization to give up the bad habit of drinking too much, they have 12 steps. And the 12 steps reinforces their beliefs, and it's actually based on a Christian principle where they pray a lot to God to help them overcome the habits. So similarly, what I'm trying to say is when you can't do things properly on your own, particularly all of you stay at home, right? I bet you end up watching TVs and all YouTube videos and nonsense, So overcoming those things, you need to create a positive association among yourselves. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you have free time and if you are wasting your free time watching TV and other things, then you should get together, a few of you, go out and preach, go out on book distribution. And if you are shy, then come to the temple, do some extra services, help one another make advancement. Otherwise, if you are not motivated and if you cannot get together and motivate one another, then you are in a losing game. You cannot say Krishna is kind and he will help me somehow. Yeah, he is helping you through Srila Prabhupada's books, through his devotees. But if you're not going to take advantage, then you will not see the result. Many people think that Krishna must come separately, take an avatar just for them. to deliver them. This is all nonsense philosophy. So it's important for you all to consider what is your goal actually. In 1 year from now, next year, what in terms of devotional life do you want to achieve? Make a list of things that you want to achieve in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years. Simply coming to the temple for social gathering is not going to help you in the long run. At most, you feel good about it, but getting purified and getting Krishna conscious, it's not so easy. Effort must be put in. Then Krishna reciprocates. Simply sitting, it's like going to a forest and meditating, and then hoping for some results after some time. But in this age, it's not possible. So the process is very simple: chanting and then preaching. If you are chanting properly, then the desire to preach will arise in your hearts. If you don't see that happening, then your process is wrong. You are not preaching properly, or you're not chanting properly, or you're committing offenses. So how is your sadhana practice? So those things must be written down also in journal it daily. Am I chanting daily? Am I focusing on my rounds? Am I reading Prabhupada's books? Am I listening to classes? Or am I wasting my time talking nonsense, right? Mostly. So remember, Srila Prabhupada took so much pains to bring this movement to the West. And then he found so many nice people who came forward to learn from him. And Srila Prabhupada appeared almost 50 years ago, right? Almost 50 years. Around 1965. So in a couple more years, it'll be 50 years. Right? It'll be 60 years actually. More than 50 years ago he came. And just like Srila Prabhupada came 50 years ago or 60 years ago, Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. And what did Krishna give? Krishna gave this amazing philosophy, amazing lifestyle, principles, religious principles. And particularly, he gave us the Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield. And you can see over the years, right? Evam paramparam praptam imam raja rishivitu sakalane mahato yoganasta parantapa. He says how this knowledge which was passed from guru to disciple in this disciplic succession, eventually due to time, kalena, due to time destroys everything. So due to time, even people following this wonderful philosophy and principles, things change. And then people don't follow nicely. And then they deteriorate these practices. Right, let me just turn off my, So the religious principles deteriorate, the philosophy becomes changed because people forgot. And why do you think they forgot? Because they don't associate properly. They don't exchange devotional practices with one another. Dadati pratigrananti guyam akyati prichati. in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami explains how one should relate to another devotee in 6 ways. One should give prasadam, one should take prasadam, one should give gifts in charity, one should accept gifts in charity also, and then confidentially inquiring about Krishna, the practice of Krishna consciousness with a senior devotee, and then receiving the knowledge. Unless we practice this, we will give up the Krishna consciousness ourselves. And then we become just like another so-called temple, people just sitting around, socializing, not making any advancement. So this is what Krishna was telling Arjuna. Sakalene maha to yoga nasta parantapa. Yoga, this yoga is destroyed. So even though many of us have taken the vows, but if we are not carefully practicing it, then yoga nasta parantapa. Year by year, the times are changing, people change, but our process is always the same. We can adjust accordingly, but we cannot give up the principles. We cannot give up the practices. So when this principle was deteriorating or completely gone, then Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, right? He appeared in the 15th century, again to revive. It's the same thing, Krishna consciousness. And then after Mahaprabhu left, the movement was going, and then again during Bhaktivinoda Thakur, almost the entire practice was gone. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to go and discover, translate so many different scriptures to re-establish again. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also came to re-establish the bona fide position of Vaishnavas. And then Srila Prabhupada came, 60 years ago, to again and again to re-establish the same teachings. This is the special gift of our acharyas. Very special. Because this age in Kali Yuga is, we call it the age of quarrel and disagreement. Iron Age. Everybody is always fighting, right? You look at the political scene. What is that? In America, it's only 2-party system. So they have the Republicans and the Democrats. They're always fighting. And if one guy he finds faults with the other guy next chance he has, he finds fault with the other person. They're not interested in the people in general. They're not interested in trying to help the people in general. So it is sad. They want the position, the power, but they're not able to make any positive influence or change to the people in general. So why I'm saying that is, as devotees, if you are not going to practice properly, then you also cannot, or we, all of us, even including myself, then we cannot make any positive influence for people in general. It is important that all of you take up this process. Chant nicely. It is important, no? You chant nicely. If you chant nicely, then a lot of realizations will come in your heart. Chant nicely, read Prabhupada's books, and you will get so much realization of how to help others. You can also guide people. All of you should become leaders. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and help people chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So that they can immediately connect with Krishna's energy. right? Hare and Krishna. Hare is the energy of Krishna. And then when we connect nicely and we connect others nicely, what happens? We become purified. Purified from all the dirty things in our hearts. Cheto darpanam marjanam baha mahadavagni nirvapanam. The more you are entangled in this material world, mahadavagni, great fire, material existence. So we should clear these things. This is material existence. If you are not going to take up the process seriously in this life, what chance do we have in the next life? How do you know you will come back and get another chance? How do you know which lifetime you're going to get another chance? Oftentimes, devotees think, oh, I'm a devotee, so next life is okay, assured. I'm going to be a devotee. How do you know? The guarantee may be there, but how do you know which lifetime? Sometimes you may come back and then may not even take up until a few lifetimes. Sometimes you may not even come back as a human. You may become like Kim Purushas. So you have to be very, very serious. Right? Otherwise, look at all the people out there. They have been associating with the material nature for so long. And then they're going to go from one body to another. They're going to suffer from in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease in one form of life to another form of life. One species to another species. 8.4 million species. Although we are originally spiritual, but because we are always associating with the material energy, we become influenced by the material energy into thinking that we are separate from the spiritual nature. But actually, we are spiritual in nature. Mame vangsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. Krishna says it very clearly. We are part and parcel of Krishna. But because we are trying to identify with this material body, why are we identifying with the material body? Because we are not practicing properly. And therefore, we tend to identify with my family, my country, right? Many of you are from India, so as soon as India and Pakistan fight, immediately you take sides. So all these are problems that are in your hearts that you need to get rid of. This lifetime you are Indian, next lifetime you may become a Pakistani. Right? It can happen. Don't think it doesn't happen. So that because we identify with our material bodies, we go through all these difficulties, birth, death, old age, disease. It's inevitable, so up to the age of 40, 45, and if you are lucky, 50 or 60 years old, you may not have any disease that are life-threatening. But after that, mostly all the disease will start coming up. When you're young, you don't see everything. But as you get older, it comes. You cannot avoid it. Old age comes, you cannot avoid it. Finally, you have to die. So this material civilization is just struggling. Manaha sastan indriyani prakriti stani karshati. Karshati means they are struggling great distress in this material nature. And what are everyone struggling? They are struggling against, as I mentioned, birth, death, old age, and disease. People are struggling so much, right? You should look at the scientists. They are saying, oh, we want to increase the life expectancy of people. We're hoping to increase to 150, 200 years by manipulating, doing DNA, cryogenics, so many nonsense they are thinking. Didn't we read that in the Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu also want to live forever. Now look what happened to him. You cannot live forever in this material body, because anything that is matter, it has a finite lifespan. It doesn't matter. Even if you say you want to live for 100 years, 200 years, eventually the body will give up. Anything in this material world will decay. Just like Krishna says, right? Sakalane mahato yoga nasta parantapa. Those things, even teachings go away. What to speak about material body? It will also deteriorate. You cannot attempt to hold on to everything. You came into this world with nothing, you will go away with nothing. Then you will come back again and go back and come back like that. It's very important to understand these things properly. The materialists out there, they are trying all kinds of tricks, right? Few years ago, I saw this billboard. I think they still have it somewhere. Like people are getting old, so they are saying, "Oh, now you don't have sex life. So what to do?" They say, "Take this pill, and then your sex life is back." Now, what is the value of having sex all the time? You know, a little bit of happiness. That's about it. Some ananda is there, a little bit. But why chase after that which is temporary when we can have Satchit Ananda Vigraha in the form of Krishna, who can give you eternal happiness? Unless we are very serious about going back to Godhead, we will not make any attempts to change. Right? So it's important. What is that? Some of you may have material desires in your heart. It's very hard to give up, and I understand that. But what does Sukadeva Goswami says? He says, Akama sarva kama moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena bhajate, right? Yajate purusham para. He says, whatever desire you have for liberation, if you are full of material desires, or even if you have no desires, he says one should always continuously worship Sri Krishna, because it is a positive thing. By worshipping Krishna, eventually and ultimately one comes to the point of spiritual existence. But if you're not serious about Krishna, then Krishna will keep giving you material things in your life. Then you may think, oh, I'll worship him for all these material things. Yeah, you can. But Krishna is so wonderful that he will make you work so hard until you don't want the material things, and then he'll give you the material things, right? If you look at the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, he was praying for a kingdom bigger than his grandfather, Lord Balaram. What happened when Krishna said, okay, I'll give you? He said, I made a mistake. I don't want this. I don't want any of this thing. So Krishna said, that's okay. You're my devotee. I'll let you enjoy it. Yeah. But Dhruva Maharaj, after he saw Krishna, he had no more desire. Yeah. If you have desires, try to get rid of it as soon as you can, because those desires will be there all throughout your life, and it'll bring you down. If you don't know how to get rid of it, then talk to some devotees. Go out on book distribution. Go out and preach. Try to organize. If you each family member there, all of you, each of you should have some Bhakti Vriksha group or something. You should go bring new people to your home, help them, cultivate them. Make them understand what the goal of life is, not just going out and working like a fool, like a donkey, It's very important you all understand these principles properly. Otherwise, you will be just another group of religionists who don't understand the goal of life. Srila Prabhupada didn't develop this society for such things, you know. The whole idea is that what is the ultimate goal of life? To revive our lost relationship with Krishna. Of course, Prabhupada also says that we are not here asking you to stop your work, your occupation, your school. No, we are not saying that. We are saying, where's your relationship? Revive your relationship. So you should simply execute your duties in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. One should not change one's position. Rather, one is supposed to stay in one's position and then hear about Krishna and then act according to Krishna's desire. Okay. So the artificial process of philosophical speculation is something we don't want. We should give up. Rather, we should hear from the bona fide sources, devotees who are talking about Krishna consciousness. Now, this is what you find in Bhagavad Gita. Daily, all of you should read. You know, if you feel difficulty in reading, then have a WhatsApp group or phone calls, 3 or 4 of you call and read to each other, take turns, and then discuss what you read, right? And then make some schedule where each of you test yourself, memorize some verses. You don't have to know the entire.
I don't know. I scratched that date and I wrote it. Did it go? Yeah.
Okay. I think we had some sponsor or something, right? Right. So as I was mentioning, you guys have to help each other. Recently there was a boy who, I think, he came from Dallas with his family, and he's about 15 years old. So the family sends him to this some Vedic group where they are chanting Bhagavad Gita every day, or every week they get together. So anyway, the boy is able to chant all 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, but he doesn't know what it all means. He just knows how to chant. So I'm not asking you all to know the 700 verses. I'm saying learn some key verses among yourselves, practice, memorize, so you can use it in the service of Krishna. Go out and preach. You can quote a few verses and explain what it means, why it's important, like that. So when you show people they are well-wisher, when you show them you have affection for them, then you will find there's a lot of connection. They will see that you are their well-wishers, friend, true friend. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is Suridam Sarvabhutanam. A devotee is also Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Because we are their well-wishers. So when they see, oh, this person is caring about my spiritual life, then they will take up the process. And they will take it up sincerely because they know you are a good person. So then they also want to be like you. They want to emulate you. And they will ask, how have you become like that? Then you can tell, it's because I simply chant nicely, I associate nicely, and I offer everything to Krishna. Yad karosi, yad johosi, tadasi yad. Krishna says, offer everything, mad arpanam. Everything you connect with Krishna. So it's very important. Then you will come to the real goal of life. And then eventually you will give up all these artificial relationships that you have formed in this material world. Nothing is going to help you. At the time of death, nobody can help you except Krishna. And you have to help yourself before that. So simply chanting nicely, you should come to transcendental position. How do you know you're coming to the transcendental position? It's how you deal with one another. How much affection you have for each devotee. How much you are helping each of you make the next step towards Krishna. We have been misled, all this society, everywhere you go in the world, all these leaders are nonsense, completely nonsense. Materially, they may have some qualification, but otherwise they are nonsense, 100% nonsense. They take advantage of the poor people. Their own people, they take advantage. You read the Bhagavatam. Can somebody tell this person, Jyotsana, to turn off? All right, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I was saying these leaders, so many leaders in the world, if you travel, you see how horrible these people are. And the worst thing is, even though these leaders are horrible, the general population keeps electing them, thinking that it will be different the next time. There's a definition I heard. The definition of insanity is doing the same activities, thinking that the result will be different. So as practicing Krishna conscious devotees, all of you, you have a burden in your shoulder to show people what is the alternative lifestyle, so that we can go back to Godhead. Krishna consciousness is solid ground. Everything you do nicely, you get nice results. 100%. You will never be cheated by Krishna. But anyone outside of Krishna consciousness, they will cheat you. Their entire plan is to cheat you. Any product you buy, anything you buy in the grocery store, everything is based on cheating principle. Right? So if you put faith in such people, then your whatever your hopes are, it becomes utterly hopeless, and you'll be frustrated because there's no proper or right conclusion you can get from such interactions. Ultimately, you'll think life is useless, life is zero, and so people become Sunyavadis, Mayavadis because of such foolish leaders, which is happening in India. You can see that. They discourage so much religion. They don't want religion. They say because of religion, India has become nothing. Nonsense philosophy. These are all blind people. They are leaders, but they are blind. They are just like Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was blind by birth, and he was blind by affection to his sons also. And therefore, he could not understand what is right and what is wrong. It's very important. As practicing devotees, you all have to become a little bit serious. If as some of you adults, you have children, if you are not serious, then your children will learn, they will learn that this process is not important because you are not serious. So Krishna conscious movement, the Prabhupada brought, is really wonderful for us. It's a great art of life. It's very easy also, and it's very sublime at the same time. Whatever you want, it will give you. But there's no artificial endeavor. The endeavor you put in is true. It's a real relationship you are developing. It is, Prabhupada says, it is transcendentally colorful and full of pleasure. Prabhupada uses nice words sometimes. So what do? We sing. Just now when I logged on, so all of you were singing so nicely. So this is how we prosecute Krishna consciousness. We sing, and then we hear nice classes or difficult classes, and then we dance, we eat prasadam. And then we can understand all this is important for us because we are connecting to Krishna. So when you do it sincerely, you will be successful. Right? There's no artificial changes necessary. You don't have to go for any plastic surgery to change this or fix that, nothing. All you do is practice nicely and you will get a spiritual body at the end of this lifetime. Simply by chanting and preaching nicely. Otherwise, if you look carefully, the work of the nature, right, material nature, everything is going there. You cannot do anything about it. Right? Last week there was a terrible cold spell, winter spell, they called it. Yeah. So everything is going under the direction of Krishna. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. So under his direction, this material energy is going. He doesn't have to tell anything because the material energy understands the will of Krishna. Now, why is it going in certain fashion, moving? Because it is giving the conditioned living entity a chance. The miseries remind us that we cannot be happy outside of the kingdom of God. You have no control, right? We have no control over when it's going to rain or when it's going to snow. So we should understand we are actually helpless. And whatever we are doing, we are forced to do. Right? Even Prabhupada says, even if you're blinking of eyes, it's controlled by the material nature. We have actually no independence. We have slight independence. And what is the independence? To be Krishna conscious or not to be Krishna conscious. That is the only independence we have. Continuously, you have been slapped by material energy, slapping us every day. And yet we say, keep slapping me, please keep slapping me. So intelligent person should understand, I don't want this anymore. So again, I mentioned this because the world is not getting better. I travel a lot and people, the leaders are terrible. They are horrible and the teachers in schools are also bad. They are unqualified. Many people are supremely unqualified. So take this process seriously, all of you, You cannot get material nature to stop slapping unless you take up the process seriously. Right? Just like a prisoner in the prison house, he cannot say, oh, stop harassing me to the jailer and so on, because that is not the nature. The prison cell is where you are harassed. So simply in the same way, this material world is for it to harass the living entities, to understand that we should go back to Godhead. Okay. All right. So I will stop here. I will let you all ask questions.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Maybe you want to.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Radha
Can
Krishna.
you put all the screens in the same size instead of only myself?
Okay, we'll do that. 1 second.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So now I can see them. Yeah. Thank
Any
you.
questions in the temple room? Any questions online? Any comments? There must be somebody, one person, one soul. Anybody? Okay, sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the class. So in the beginning, you mentioned about if you have a higher taste, then you can give up the lower taste. Can you give us some examples of like higher taste apart from like Krishna consciousness and association with devotees? What else can we do?
Higher taste is anything connected with Krishna and not material things, right? So sometimes children, they play video games, right? And so for them, that is a higher taste. When the parents say, come and do your homework, and they'll say, no, I want to play. Why? Because it's a higher taste. So as for practicing devotees, in the beginning, chanting is not a higher taste, right? Even associating with another devotee is not higher taste, because they're always telling you, give up this, give up that. So therefore, we don't feel higher taste. Actually, devotees shouldn't keep saying, give up this, give up. Rather, they should say, do this, do that. We don't have to say give anything to give up. And then if they find, why am I not making advancement? Then you say, because you're also doing other things that are not accepted by Krishna. So then they say, but actually, I don't like those things. Then when they say they don't like, that means they have acquired a higher taste, right? So simply another example is, many of you may not like to go out and do book distribution. But I think all of you should go out on Harinam also in the streets, on the mall, ask permission, and you do that. You find once you do Harinam, you will enjoy it. Harinam is one of the quickest way of tasting higher taste, tasting Krishna consciousness. So yeah, and same with book distribution. It's difficult approaching people because your ego is at stake. And so therefore it becomes very much a challenge. But if you go in groups, 2 or 3 people, you approach a person and say, I want to share with you this nice book that has helped me, and I want to help you. So would you like to take a book and give a donation like that? If you talk like that nicely and friendly, people will take. And then you'll find as soon as you give books, Krishna in your heart becomes happy, and then you feel great joy. That's a higher taste. And then reading also. In the beginning, reading Prabhupada's books are not easy because there's so much philosophy. And philosophy generally is dry because we cannot relate with them. But the more you read, the more you associate and discuss it, you will develop the taste. Sometimes some things are acquired taste, right? Some people don't like bitter melon, but when they eat bitter melon a few times, then they say, actually, it's nice. Yeah. So similarly, the preaching is like a bitter melon in the beginning. And Krishna says that which is bitter in the beginning is sweet in the end. It's in the mode of goodness also. So I would say that there's so many different activities in Krishna consciousness you should take up. How much are you all doing for the temple in Austin? How much have you volunteered? So if you feel reluctant to volunteer because you have a lower taste. But if you try once, twice, then you'll see Krishna will reciprocate, and then you'll find happiness in doing the service. That is higher taste, right? I remember when I was working, I would be doing work at office, and I'm thinking when I can go to the temple. And then when I have free time in the office workplace, I will take out Bhagavad Gita and read. Because I had lost taste in the material job. Yeah. So in the same way, if you practice sincerely and associate one another, come to temple, do more service, the service must increase. If you give up service, that means you are doing it wrong. If you go back to the material world, means Krishna is taking you back because you are offensive or something like that. Try to do more service in the temple and make advancement like that. It's for your own good. It's not for me. I don't gain anything, right? Krishna wants you to do so that you become eternally happy. That's the reason why we are encouraging you. And thank you for the question. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Damodar.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhu, you mentioned about developing very good relation with all the devotees inside the temple. So could you give some practical tips on how to have more, more friendly and more devotional relationship with everybody?
Yeah. First, you invite everyone to your home. The fact that that's the best way. You invite them to say that I don't have anything against you. Come to my home. Yeah.
Everybody's welcome.
Have a kirtan and then just have prasadam. No need to do anything else. And tell everyone, I really like your association. Because of all of you, I'm a devotee now. And I'll remain a devotee because all of you are here. Start like that, Or you call each devotee that you have some difficulty and you tell them, I don't want to have this bad relationship with you anymore. I want to have a good relationship with you. You try. Now, of course, not every one of you will be best friends forever. Some of you will never become best friends. But it doesn't mean you are unhappy with them. You should never have that feelings in your heart. You should, maybe you cannot associate with, some people. That's okay. Find people you can associate nicely. Yeah. Right? Go out together preaching. Right? You all are trying to build a temple. So go out, go fundraising together. Then you'll have fun together. Yeah. Right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Right. So Radha Damodar Prabhu is going to invite us to his home soon.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, get ready. All right. Abhay Prabhu, can you please give the thank you for? Oh, sorry. There's one more question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the session. One question I have is, we start our day with chanting and the morning is always a fresh. Time to time, our soul gets stuck in the day-to-day difficult things. I know reading Bhagavad Gita, as you mentioned, it's a philosophy, the soul will not be motivated. How do I overcome as a human being to get motivated? Like reaching gurus like you is always a blissful and blessing. But how do the soul can reach and motivated and rebound from that difficulties? That's my question.
You have to associate nicely. Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, how do you become a pure devotee? And I've mentioned this many times. And then Prabhupada asked his disciple, how do you become a drunkard? And then the disciple was shocked. And then Prabhupada laughed. And he said, if you associate with people who are drunkards, then eventually you also become a drunkard. So similarly, if you don't feel enthused in some activities, find those devotees who are very enthusiastic in those activities. And then you associate with them. Tell them, you please bless me so I am also enthusiastic like you, right? That's one thing. The other thing is you are saying you're caught up with work and this. Have a schedule, right? Have a fixed schedule for your devotional practices that you don't change. That means get up at a certain time, chant up to a certain time, go to work, do your work thing, come back, have your spiritual activities at a certain time before you go to bed. So those things must be fixed. So no matter what happens, no matter even there's a third world war, bombing everything, you still can sit and chant. And you can read Prabhupada's books. What is the point in worrying and trying to hide, thinking the bomb won't explode? It is going to explode anyway. Rather better you chant and get out of this world. Okay, I hope that helps.
Right. Any other questions? I don't think there are any. With that, we'll give it to Abhay Prabhu for the thank you note.
Thank you, Radha Krishna Prabhu, for a very wonderful class. I think we all needed this class to get a good jolt to start the beginning, of this year. Prabhu, I just make notes of some of the points from your class. You mentioned that we should cultivate new goals rather than trying to break the old habits. We should develop a higher test. We should avoid avoiding is unsuccessful, but when we get new goals for Krishna consciousness, we will be able to make progress, and association and hearing Krishna Katha is very helpful. We need to make attainable goals, and then act towards them. You stressed about devotee association. Devotee association is important because it is inspiring, and this inspiration leads to a change. And we must work towards cultivating good relationship with the devotees. Prabhu, one of the key things that you pointed out is keeping a journal of what we do on a daily basis, and then review that activity to look at the trends to gauge our progress. When we follow a practice for a certain period of time, it tends to become permanent. So I think we should strive for that. And we must make goal where we want to see ourselves in the devotional service. We should read Srila Prabhupada's book, go out for preaching activities. We need to use our time wisely, using our time for servicing the Lord and for the preaching work. When we lose good association, it leads to the loss of transcendental knowledge. We must carefully practice and the principles. When we follow the process properly, then we'll be able to make positive influence on everyone. It will purify us as well as the others. It will help ourselves as well as we will be able to help the others. When we don't follow the process properly, we'll start acting on the bodily consciousness platform. We have this limited time, so we have to take advantage of this fortunate opportunity. Our duties should be executed on the lines of Krishna consciousness. And when we do these things, we will feel blissful and we will be able to connect back to Lord Krishna again. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I was thinking about the game of bowling. When we throw the ball at the pin, if you are not careful, they will slide and fall into the gutter. So I was thinking devotees like you who are pure representatives of Srila Prabhupada helps us with barricades so that we don't fall into the gutter. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this nice class and sharing your important time, your precious time with us for your guidance. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that nice summary. That was a very good summary. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you so much, Radha Krishna Prabhu. Can we get a big Hari Bol for him?
Hare Bol.
We look forward to having you in Austin sometime soon.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, devotees, this ends the morning program, and